Now we're moving into getting bad guys in groups territory. 10 chapters in. I haven't heard anything about the current state of like Japan's opinion on Candy Flurry. From what I'm aware of, it's first. Well, so the first ranking wasn't very good, but from what I'm aware of, it like the rankings are like weeks and weeks behind where the current chapters are, and I'd have to look at. Someone told me that like it's being fairly well received in Japan after like it's got like the more recent chapters. We'll see. Like I said, I like Candy Flurry. It's got a really weird series like scenario and setup for the series, but I like the characters so far, and I do enjoy the aspect of taking all these candy abilities and turning them into powers for like a battle shonen. I think it's been really cool, especially with this chapter. We got another guy, the guy who's just gum, but he's just using it more of like a spider web, which is really cool. So you're gonna have, some badass spider fighting dude who's, I guess, is using bubblegum. And again, the off branches of their powers later on, if the series survives, also has an extremely high amount of my interest, because what happens like if the series gets to the point where the author starts using different candies from like that one set. Like, would you have to have two people with like a different version? Would it be like an ant version? I'm thinking of like if you had, say, the lollipop person, if Sumugi ended up using a different kind of lollipop, like instead of the normal Sora one that's flat, what if she used one that's kind of like a blow pop or a tootsie pop, where it's like more like a club? It's just this big blunt flail-like weapon. Or I can't remember what they're called, but you know the ones that they're like unicorn horns, like use that for like a spear or something, or like a staff weapon. There's actually possibility in the weird ways that Candy's like branched out into different versions that can make this series really fun, and I've been enjoying it so far. It's really weird in concept. I'm sure that like a lot of people who think about like taking a stab at it understand like you got to get past that weird setting, but I think when you do and you get used to the characters, it actually is a pretty entertaining manga so far. We're only 10 chapters in. I don't know how its large scale viewing is, but I like it so far. We'll see how this series holds out. But we did get in this chapter a fundamental scene from series like battle shonens, especially like early, when you have the bad guy group foreshadowed and really brought up, because like the popcorn kernel guy got defeated relatively easily by Sumugi. There was a really cool part at the beginning when it's like she's like questioning and stuff, and he like lifts up his shirt and he's got like this. He's got this wrapping of popcorn kernels all around his waist, and it's like it looks weird. Again, you have to take his powers into account. It's like, oh yeah, that guy's essentially wearing a suicide vest. Like it's crazy when you think about it. He's pretty much got on a suicide vest. Like if he's got to risk any information getting sent over to the enemies, it looks like the dude's just ready to self-destruct and die, which is pretty crazy. But because of it's set to his powers, it's also pretty much a secondary weapon set. Like if he wanted to, he could just grab them and like start throwing them at people, I would assume, and causing them to detonate. But that's when this other guy comes in, and the paneling for it was really cool because it was weird that it was like sideways, but it's because you were looking at it from that guy's perspective. When he's like telling the popcorn dude not to bother with killing himself, you have all these webs go all over the place, get these guys all sticky, and this guy's like standing on the side of a building, just being like, yeah, whatever, yeah, don't even try and move, like, it's over, we're just gonna take this guy and get out of here, whatever. He seems really chill about it. There's like a degree of craziness as we see in the chapter, but this guy's cool. I like him so far. And like I said, I've enjoyed relatively all the characters that have been introduced into Candy Flurry so far, so it gives me like a pretty comfortable spot to be like, I can safely assume that like I'm gonna like this guy, at least off of what we have so far. He's got a cool personality. He had a really cool entrance. He's got cool powers. I like that he's obviously tied to the bigger bad guy, the main antagonist, the lollipops in the series, as well as Sumugi. We got to see this panel in the chapter where she made what I would assume is like her max size lollipop, because she says before like even if she went all out, she would be able to do certain things. And we've seen her make her lollipop in different sizes, so I'm guessing this, given her, the scenario she's in, and clearly that she's very serious, that this is like the max size, which still is like, it's pretty big, it doesn't look as big as like one of the big ones that destroyed Tokyo, and but at the same time, like, it's huge, and I'm curious to know if she could swing it, or if it's more of just this large time aim. Like, if she aims the stick at somebody for, like, a thrusting attack, or what if she did it essentially, like, growing in mid-swing, did somebody? There's, series that has a similar, and it would have a similar setup in the way that it uses, Law of Eki. The main character's power is he could collapse trash within his hands and turn it into trees. So, like, any tree he thought of, as well as it would grow at his control. So one of the things he would do is like a very beginning power is he would collapse it and then swing it to like a tree. It's like it'd be like almost be like a baseball, or he'd like lunge at somebody and it'd be growing mid swing. So imagine you're holding a twig, and it's a twig when you swing it, but by the time you're finished and it makes contact, it's like a whole redwood or something. It's like this gigantic tree that you hit somebody with. I would imagine Tsumugi could do that, and hitting somebody with this, like a regular person would kill them. I would imagine it, just based off of what we've seen so far, is probably going to defeat most people in the world. Maybe not like Irie and stuff and whoever this lollipop guy is, but like the macaron guy and the donut guy, this would definitely defeat him. This is huge. Like, it's not just big. It's like you can see Tsumugi along it, and she's not that much taller than like the stick is wide. So just gauging, just looking at it, I would guess that the lollipop is probably like, it's probably like 100 feet tall. Maybe like 100, but like 50 to 60 feet tall. Maybe, if not more, maybe somewhere around that. Because it's really big. And again, keep in mind, it's candy, but it's solid. It's a solid, heavy material. So that hitting somebody is going to do some damage. You even see it like destroy parts of the building behind them. So like imagine if that was swung at somebody. Like, that's going to completely, like, destroy cars and whatnot. And the series, like, from what we've seen so far, this is just a really impressive feat. Especially for Tsumugi to have, like, something that she's capable of doing from the beginning of the series. Again, is really impressive. But, like, the guy dodged. Didn't seem like a really, it didn't seem like much of an issue for him. He seems like he's just, ready to go. It wasn't a problem for him. But Tsumugi is very serious. She wants to chase him down, get any information, because it's revealed that he does have information on the guy that destroyed Tokyo, because obviously if she's able to do that, one, that's a really bad person as well. Well, assumingly so. It looks like it when we see him in the chapter, but at least get to the point where she could declare her name, I would assume. And again, there's like really cool usage of powers in this. You see the dude's gum, and like when it's like zoomed in, it's like all these things lodged in it. It's like, oh, it's the popcorn kernel, so then they do just makes them explode, and they're able to escape. Like, I really like the powers setup that they have in the series. I'm very curious if there's more, if there's anything beyond just, like, your base abilities. Like, is there a power system, or is it just powers? Either way, I do really like it. I really like the creativity that's gone into the moveset of the characters in this series. But then when all of the, like, the whole receipt guys come in, you have the one gloomy-looking proctor guy. They're like trying to figure out what's going on, and Tsumugi entirely gives all of the glory to Midori, and just kind of just says he did everything. Misaki did everything. He was amazing. And then like the people were pointing out like, oh, he did defeat these guys. The donut and the macaron guy. Obviously that being what Tsumugi actually did. But things are just now stacking onto him, and like he's gonna be getting promotions and higher rank. I'm guessing based off of like getting the credit Tsumugi gets. There was information that was put out from, I think, the manga itself, that in the one-shot, or at least in concept art, that Misaki was going to be a cookie, like a chocolate chip cookie sweet user, which, again, I have absolutely no idea how he was planning to use that power, but maybe that's where it'll lead to, and you'll get a sixth member outside of that, like, the 5 sweet users within the receipt. Maybe you'll get a sixth person, it'll be Midori, and that'll be, like, where his role in the story comes in. I think that'll be pretty fun if he's able to kind of just rise the ladder through mistakes that are pinned upon him from the main character covering her own ass, essentially. But also, like I said, just wondering like what he would do with that power would be really exciting. I want to see how exactly that's utilized, because it's like he's shown he knows, like he's got ideas for these and how to actually weaponize these weird food powers. And so I would imagine whatever he's got for chocolate chip cookies is probably really cool. But then at the end of the chapter, we have like this abandoned rail car, and you got all this vegetation around it. I imagine it's been sitting there for who knows how long, and you got a bunch of bad dudes in there. It's funny because two of them actually look like Yuji and Megumi from Jujutsu Kaisen, and I wasn't gonna like the one guy looks like Megumi, and I just noticed, or sorry, the one dude looks like Yuji who's reading the paper, but I just noticed the dude next to him. It's not the same. Like we don't even have the close of his face. It's just the hairstyle and the fact he's sitting next to the guy that does look like Yuji. I thought was pretty funny, especially because they're on the train, and just because like that was the big opening portion of opening one for the Jujutsu Kaisen anime. Usually I don't go for like hey, it looks like I just like the coincidences that went along with this. I would be really surprised if this was supposed to be Yuji of some kind. Maybe the author really likes him, and there will be like a comparison of maybe those two characters. You could get something like a good nod, a good reference, an Easter egg in there. Who knows? But this dude, the gum dude, I'm actually really want to see more of later. He looks really cool. I like his weird, creepy face. It's just these like kind of like pearly-eyed expressions that he's got going on all the time. But also the dude at the end, this guy, I'm guessing he's the one eating the lollipop, that he is the leader of the group, and who Tsumugi is going to have to deal with as like the primary antagonist, at least for now, maybe the opening portion of the series. Who knows? We'll see how things progress in this, and if Candy Flurry makes a distance. But so far, like I've said, I've enjoyed it. I like the characters. I like the setup. I always love when you have the bad guy group, essentially the first bad guy group, regardless if like in hindsight those guys were fodder, or like did much more forgettable guys than something you'd get later. It doesn't matter to me. Like, I'm always excited to see what the first round of bad guys are like in a series. I think that's always just really fun. It's a regular standard that happens in a lot of series, but it's something that I always look forward to, just to see like, okay, this we're gonna first see what this manga is gonna do. They get their feet wet, essentially stretch out more of the large scale setup and battles and whatnot, rather than just kind of like one-off fights. But anyway, other than that, comment below, thumbs up the video, friend, like button, subscribe, and check out my other videos. But than that, I appreciate everybody's already subscribed, and I thank y'all for listening. Bye.